Assalamualaikum and hi students. In this video, we are going to learn limiting reactant. When a chemist carries out a reaction, the reactants are usually not present in exact stoichiometric amounts, that is, in the proportions indicated by the balance equation. For example, I have these problems. Suppose 5 moles of hydrochloric acid, HCl, and 2 moles of zinc are mixed and allowed to react according to the equation above. Determine the reactant and excess reactant. Calculate the number of moles of zinc chloride produced. Okay, so if you refer to the balanced chemical equation here, okay, have 1 mole of zinc reacts with 2 mole of hydrochloric acid, produces 1 mole of zinc chloride and 1 mole of hydrogen gas. So, this information, okay, maklumat yang saya sebutkan tadi, itu adalah, that is the stoichiometric amounts. Okay, itu adalah dari segi stoichiometry from the balanced chemical equation. But, usually, when we do experiment or when the reaction occur in the laboratory, right, we will be provided with the exact mole or mass of each reactant. For example, here provided to us, okay, during the experiment, we have 5 moles of HCl. Okay, we have 5 moles of HCl and 2 moles of zinc metals. Okay, apa maksudnya? So, maksudnya bila saya nak buat eksperimen dalam makmal, saya mesti ada mass setiap reaktan. Daripada mass kita boleh dapat mole. So, provided, available, yang dibekalkan kepada saya masa saya nak buat eksperimen ini, katakanlah saya dapat 2 moles of zinc, saya ada 2 moles of zinc and saya ada 5 moles of hydrochloric acid. Okay, because the goal of a reaction is to produce the maximum quantity of a useful compound from the starting material, frequently a large excess of one reactant is supplied. Ensure that the more expensive reactant is completely converted to the desired product. So usually biasanya in chemical reaction, alright, some reactant will be left over at the end of the reaction. Ada reactant yang akan berlebihan ataupun yang masih ada baki di akhir tindak balas, dan ada reactant yang akan habis terlebih dahulu dan diguna pakai habis dalam chemical reaction tersebut. Alright, okay. So, today we are going to learn about limiting reactant. So, if you can see here in the question, firstly, you have to determine the limiting reactant and excess reactant. Okay, to understand more about limiting reactant, let's see this analogy. Okay. In order to prepare one set of sandwich, I must have 2 slices of bread, 3 pieces of lunch meat, and 1 slice of cheese. So if I have these ingredients, okay, I will get 1 set of sandwich. Okay, secara teorinya, theoretically, stoichiometrically, if I have this amount of ingredients, I will get 1 set of sandwich. But let's say we have 6 slices of bread, 12 pieces of lunch meat, 5 slices of cheese. Okay, provided to us 6 slices of bread, 12 pieces of lunch meat, and 5 slices of cheese. So, how many set sandwiches can be prepared? Can you guess the answer? Yes, correct. We will get 3 sandwiches. Okay, and what happened here, you can see, okay, there are 3 pieces of lunch meat in excess and 2 pieces of cheese also in excess. So, kita dapati kat sini, apa yang kita dapati, roti, 6 slices of bread tadi telah habis diguna pakai. Okay, and then kita telah dibekalkan dengan 12 pieces of lunch meat and 5 slices of cheese. Di akhir preparation itu, we can see there are 3 pieces of lunch meat berlebihan and 2 pieces of cheese juga berlebihan. Okay, so from this analogy, actually I want to help you to understand more about limiting reactant. So let's see this definition. So what is limiting reactant? Reactant that is completely consumed in a reaction that limit the amount of products formed. So we have to refer to the keyword here, reactant, completely consumed in the chemical reaction, of course, and limit the amount of products formed. So there are two main points here. Okay, reactants used up first in a reaction, and it determines the amount of products formed. Okay, so based on the analogy given, alright, okay, what we can say that 6 slices of bread provided to us earlier is the limiting reactant. Sebab bila dia habis, kita hanya dapat 3 sandwich dan kita tak boleh buat lagi banyak sandwich yang ada. Walaupun kita ada lunch meat and cheese yang berlebihan. So, in this case, 6 slices of bread is the limiting reactant and lunch meat and cheese are excess ingredient. So, from this analogy, kita juga boleh belajar tentang excess reactant. So, what is excess reactant? Excess reactant is the reactant in a chemical reaction with a greater amount than necessary to react completely with the limiting reactant. So, basically, limiting reactant will be left over at the end of the reaction. Okay, when this reactant referred to limiting reactant, ataupun dalam kes ni roti lah when this reactant is used up, no more product can be formed. Okay, you can see here, apabila roti tu habis diguna pakai, tak ada lagi sandwich lain yang kita boleh hasilkan. Alright, okay. So the concept of the limiting reactant or limiting reagent is analogous to the relationship between in the chemical reaction. Maksudnya analogi ini kita boleh gunakan dalam chemical reaction. Okay, back to the problem given earlier. Okay, so suppose 5 moles of hydrochloric acid and 2 moles of zinc are mixed and allowed to react according to the equation above. Determine the limiting reactant and excess reactant. Okay, itu kita kena jawab terlebih dahulu. After that, barulah kita boleh continue with the following question. Calculate the number of moles of zinc chloride produced. Okay, usually the question will give you mass of each reactant. Tapi ada juga ketikanya soalan berikan awak mole yang dah siap. Dia dah siap kira mole. Jadi apa maksud 5 moles and 2 moles here? Inilah moles available ataupun initial mole. Mole yang available sebelum tindak balas bermula or initial moles provided to you before the reaction start. So how many moles of hydrochloric acid provided? We have 5 moles HCl and we have 2 moles zinc. Okay, so given to you the mass, you have to convert mass of each reactant to the mole first. Okay, now we are going to determine the limiting reactant. In order to determine the limiting reactant, choose one reactant and calculate the amount of the second reactant would be needed to give a complete reaction. Okay, yang itu kita kena buat dulu. So let's say I choose, I start with moles of HCl. So by using the moles of HCl provided, I have to compare the amount of the second reactant, which is zinc, needed to give a complete reaction. Saya kena compare, saya kena gunakan maklumat HCl, katakanlah saya nak start dengan HCl, saya kena ramalkan berapakah mole of zinc yang diperlukan untuk berlakunya tindak balas lengkap. So in this step, you have to refer to the balanced chemical equation. Okay, how to do this? Okay, for example, I have 5 mole from the equation. So from the equation, refer to the balanced chemical equation. Let's say I start with hydrochloric acid. Saya nak start dengan hydrochloric acid, so saya kena start ayat saya ni dengan hydrochloric acid. 2 mole hydrochloric acid need how many moles of zinc from the equation? Need 1 mole zinc. That is from the stoichiometric amount, from the balanced chemical equation. But provided to you 5 mole of HCl. Itu yang kita ada initially atau available pada kita 5 mole of HCl. Therefore, 5 moles HCl need how many moles of zinc? So, kita akan gunakan perkadaran. Relationship. So I have to divide by 2 mole HCl times 1 mole of zinc. Alright? So you can see here, we will solve these problems. Moles of HCl cancel out. So 5 moles divided by 2 moles. So remaining here adalah mole of zinc. So we will determine moles of zinc from the calculation. So I need 2.5 moles zinc. So now we have to continue. Compare the amount needed with the amount available. Since the amount of zinc needed, berapa yang kita perlukan tadi kita dah kira. Diperlukan 2.5 moles. Is more than available. Available berapa? Tengok dalam soalan. Provided to you how many moles of zinc? 2 moles. Kita nakkan 2.5 moles tapi we have 2 moles only. Thus, zinc is the limiting reactant. So now we have determined the limiting reactant. Kita dah jumpa dah. Kita dah kira We have determined the limiting reactant. If you start with HCl, so you akan jumpa dulu limiting reactant lah. Maksudnya, kalau you start dengan zinc, you akan jumpa dulu limiting reactant. Dia salah satu. Whether you will find the limiting reactant first or you will find the excess reactant first. So since the question asks you to determine the limiting reactant and excess reactant, we have to answer both questions. For excess reactant, we don't have to calculate because you dapatnya limiting reactant, you dah tahu dah siapa excess reactant. Alright. So reason tadi beri. Reason tadi kita beri, siapa tadi limiting reactant? Zinc is the limiting reactant because the number of moles needed, which is 2.5 moles, is more than moles available. 2.0 mole. Tulis reasonnya. Which one is the excess reactant? HCl is the excess reactant. So HCl is the excess reactant. So kalau you nak tanya kenapa reason dia, saya boleh tunjukkan contoh kat sini. Let's say from the equation you may refer to the equation and information given. So kita ada apa tadi? Zinc solid plus 2 mole of HCl equals produces 1 mole of zinc chloride aqueous and 1 mole of hydrogen gas. So provided to you here we have 2 moles of zinc and 5 moles of HCl. Tadi saya tunjukkan saya start dengan HCl. Saya start pengiraan saya dengan HCl. So let's say saya start dengan zinc. Okay, from the equation. From the equation, saya buat short form 1 mole zinc. Okay, 1 mole zinc. 1 mole zinc needs 2 mole HCl. 2 moles HCl. So you have provided to you 2 moles zinc need how many moles of HCl? So kita guna perkadaran macam biasa. Let's say kat sini kalau bukan let's say lah, kita memang kena refer kepada equation ini. Okay, so I have to divide with 1 mole zinc times 2 mole HCl. So cancel out, you will get 4 moles HCl. So you can see here, since the number of moles of HCl needed, okay, is less than provided. Provided 5 moles. Okay, tapi kita needs 4 moles. So you can write the reason. HCl is the excess reactant because the number of moles of HCl needed, okay, which is 4 moles, is less than number of moles available, okay, which is 5 moles. So settle with the excess reactant and limiting reactant. Alright, okay. So now let's continue with the next question. Oh, before that, we have other methods to determine the limiting reactant. Itu tadi satu cara, we compare reactant and reactant punya mole, comparing the mole of reactant with other reactant. Okay, so I want to show you another method to determine the amount, to determine the limiting reactant. Okay, the first step is still the same. So we have 5 moles HCl and we have 2 moles zinc. Okay, in order to determine the limiting reactant by using this method, okay, calculate the amount of product, which is by using moles, that can be formed from each reactant. The reactant that gives this amount of product is the limiting reactant. The other reactant is in excess and remains till the end of reaction. Okay, so sekarang cara yang ini, okay, providing here 2 moles, 5 moles. Okay, kita compare reactant, we have 2 reactants. Okay, kita kena compare zinc and zinc chloride, followed by comparing HCl and zinc chloride. And then kita compare which reactant will produce the least amount of product. That is the limiting reactant. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, let's say start with zinc. Okay, from the equation, okay, katalah saya start dengan zinc. Okay, saya buat divider ni kat sini. Okay, from the equation, 1 mole zinc, okay, produces, bukan needed sebab kita nak compare product, produces 1 mole zinc chloride. Therefore, if I have 2 moles zinc, produces how many moles of zinc chloride? Of course, 2 moles zinc chloride. Okay, so now use the same method to compare HCl and zinc chloride. Okay, we have here from the equation 2 moles HCl produce. You must compare the same product. So initially I compare zinc with zinc chloride. So now I have to compare HCl with zinc chloride. Okay, 2 mole HCl produce 1 mole zinc chloride. If I have 5 moles HCl. So how many moles of zinc chloride produces? So gunakan perkadaran. So here divide by 2 moles of HCl times 1 mole zinc chloride. Okay, cancel out. So you will get 2.5 mole, tak muat 2.5 moles zinc chloride. Okay. Okay, saya buat kat sini. Okay, so now compare which reactant produces the least amount of product. So if we start, if zinc is the limiting reactant, okay, it produces 2 mole of zinc chloride. If HCl is the limiting reactant, it produces 2.5 mole zinc chloride. So antara 2 mole dengan 2.5 mole, mana mole yang lagi sikit? Of course 2 mole of zinc chloride. So which reactant produce 2 mole of zinc chloride? It is produced by zinc. So kita boleh tulis jawapan kita kat sini. Okay. Zinc is the limiting reactant because it produces the least amount of zinc chloride compared to HCl. Okay, so kita dah nyatakan zinc is the limiting reactant with the reason. So now we have to mention the limiting reactant. Okay, HCl is the limiting reactant because it produces more product. Ataupun kita tak payah tulis produk, kita tulis saja terus produknya apa. Zinc chloride. It produces more zinc chloride compared to zinc. So the problem solved. Alright. Sorry, this is not the limiting reactant. Saya tersalah tulis. This is excess reactant. Should be excess reactant. Tersilap tulis pula. Okay. Alright. Okay, so actually settle with limiting reactant and excess reactant. Okay, so now continue with the last question in the problems. Alright, in the problem given. In order to determine the product form, how many moles of zinc chloride form? Kalau kita guna kaedah yang kedua tadi, sebenarnya kita dah boleh ramalkan berapa mole of product form. Because saya dah compare. Kalau you tengok kat sini, saya dah compare reactant dengan product form tu berapa. So saya dah dapat dah berapa zinc chloride yang akan terhasil. Cuma saya nak highlight, kita akan tengok daripada limiting reactant. Because limiting reactant will determine or limit the amount of product form. Okay. So if you use the first method, cara pertama tadi yang saya ajar, compare reactant dengan reactant, caranya sama juga. Okay, caranya sama. Okay, we have to compare. Okay, we have to compare. Okay, we have to compare the number of moles of limiting reactant. We have to use the number of moles of limiting reactant. Okay, to determine the product form. In other words, the product form must be determined from the amount of limiting reactant. Mole lah, maksudnya kita nak cari. Tadi saya gunakan kaedah yang pertama tu, saya gunakan reactant. Jadi sekarang saya nak compare, nak tahu pula berapa zinc chloride produce. Jadi kita mesti gunakan information limiting reactant, moles of the limiting reactant. So siapa tadi limiting reactant kita? Limiting reactant kita tadi adalah zinc. So kita kena gunakan maklumat mole zinc untuk tentukan berapa zinc chloride. Okay, so jadi sekarang kat sini kita boleh buat macam ni. From the equation, okay, from the equation, how many moles of zinc, how many moles of zinc in the balance equation? 1 mole zinc produces 1 mole zinc chloride. Okay, 1 mole zinc chloride. Okay, thus, if you have 2 moles of zinc, okay, stated here, provided, available. Okay, 2 mole of zinc produces how many moles of zinc chloride? Produces. So, bagi yang tak nampak, maksudnya kat sini, divide by 1 mole zinc times 1. Salah tulis. Okay, 1 mole zinc chloride. Okay, so you will get 2 moles of zinc chloride produced. Okay, kelas? Okay, saya harap contoh ni jelas dan boleh bantu awak. Okay, so this is the extra question which is will be discussed in tutorial tomorrow. Jadi saya nak you cuba dulu jawab macam mana, boleh refer nota. So esok kita discuss. Selepas kita bincang soalan concentration, balancing redox, saya akan gunakan contoh ini, soalan ini untuk saya ajar berkenaan percentage yield, theoretical yield and actual yield. Alright class? Thank you.